Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Last Cloudia. Today starts the second run of the Slime collab. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Demon Rimuru. So I'm not going to be going over the older characters. I'm only going to be going over this particular character and the arc that goes with them. So starting with Mr. Rimuru, we're going to go ahead and take a look at his stats. Honestly, his stats are pretty good across the board. I mean, everything is over 1,000, which is what you would normally see in like a really good hybrid character. But just, I mean, overall, just really, really good. 1,300 strength, 1,100 defense, 1,200 int, and 1,200 mind. Just that's just a total package when it comes to stats. You got to give a little bit of shout out to that. And the HP being about 5k is not bad either. Now, also, the thing to note is he has some decent resistances. Here's the poison, blind, and stun. Unfortunately, the thing is nil, so you will have to put some work into him if you need to protect him against certain battles. And of course, he's plus 15 on light. Another very, very highly important thing about this character, which is what's going to make him very, very usable, is that all of his skills are considered no attribute. They're neutral damage. However, the special thing about this character, which I think is better than every version of this type of mechanic, is that with each skill that he has, he can potentially deal damage of an element if the enemy happens to be weak to said element. So for the first skill, if they're weak to fire, it'll actually boost damage to make up. And then, so with the second skill, the same thing happens with dark. Now, the difference with the second skill is that you actually absorb 3% HP, which is super good. And then with the third skill, you're doing the same thing, but you can deal more damage for light. And then the special not only does no attribute damage to everyone, well, all enemies, you also restore HP to all of your allies. Very, very good character in terms of one, how versatile he is with certain elements, despite being a no attribute attacker, and two, being able to support the team in general with the special. But it gets better. Let's take a look at his skill or traits. So Rising Star, no attribute damage plus 50%, damage cap 8,000. When enemy has a specific attribute weakness, skill damage plus 40%, damage cap plus 5,000. So, like we mentioned, skill 1 is fire, 2 is dark, 3 is light. Now, that's really good because, again, with no attribute attacks, the difference with that is that, you're not exploiting a weakness, you're just dealing straight damage. A lot of times, the downside of having a no attribute attacker is that, you can't take advantage of weaknesses. But in this case, he surpasses that. I'll just deal straight up damage, and if you happen to be weak, I'm going to do you even more damage. It's the best type of elemental hybrid we've seen in terms of these kind of DPS damage. It's really, really solid. I'm actually really happy with how they did this character. All right, second trait, Demon Lord's Awakening. So whenever taking attribute damage, chance to cut damage from that attribute by minus 5% per hit, max of 25%. Resets each wave, and then when the unit is alive and all allies are incapacitated, revive all allies with 100% HP once per wave. This is also, once per quest, not wave, my apologies. But this is still pretty solid overall. Again, he's supporting the team while being able to continue dealing some damage. You can tell he's going to be pretty tanky with all those stats that he has. So he should be able to sustain while keeping everybody else going. He's, again, super, super good. All right, let's take a look at the skills. All right, so we have Leader's Charisma. So this is a new one. Strength, Defense, Intelligence, and Mind plus 10% for units with a non-human type. Plus 30% for monster units. Only while unit is alive, doesn't stack with other charisma. So, first off, you get a 10% boost to all of the 4 basic stats for any non-human character. So, for example, let's say Chef Alice is a machine. She would get that boost. Someone like, I don't know, like Lucio would also get, the 10% buff. However, 30% for monsters. So we have a lot of interesting monster users. We have that one called Carol, the beast that you can unlock by doing a bunch of things. That would get a 30% boost, which is pretty cool. And then there's a few others that, could benefit from it. But overall, it's interesting. I'll say that much. I think it's at least interesting. So we also have Full Potion. This is a unique one, very greatly restore an ally's HP. We have MP up max, Fighting Spirit 4, Arcade up 4, Crit up 2, and in Vitals, Creature Mastery. This is also a different one. When unit has creature type, physical attacks effective on spirits. Damage from spirits minus 10%. When taking magic damage, chance to recover 50% of damage as HP. Basically, he's just good against creatures. Excuse me. Auto Aura, Wisdom's Protection, Auto Haste, Auto Heal, Gale Force. Would love seeing Gale Force personally. No attribute attack raise 2 and no attribute attack raise 3. The third one gives you basically damage cap with a 30% bonus to that. No attribute hits. Goddess Kiss, Thumbering, Evil Absorption. So when taking physical or magic damage, chance to recover 50% of the damage as HP. Again, he has a lot of things to self-sustain him. So he can do certain skills, gain life. He can take damage and potentially gain life. Again, it's very self-sustaining. We have Bless Speed, Double Impact, Sword Boost, Sword Mega Boost. Again, more damage cap. Why not? Obviously, he's going to be a sword user. Quick Trigger, Decoy, Cloak of Mastery. I always forget this one. Damage taken from non-boss enemies minus 10%. We also have Predator, which is also unique for him. When defeating an enemy with a strength, defense, and mind buff, get a buff for 25% to the same stat, excluding some buffs. Seems interesting. Not sure how I feel about it. I mean, it's something. We have Thought Acceleration. For every 5 seconds, use 10 MP to restore 1 second of SAT to all skills. Seems okay as a passive. I guess it's great if you're in a fight that's going to last a long time, but seems kind of slow though. We also have Enhanced Resistance. All status element recovery speed plus 100%, so basically doubles it. When a basic status element is healed by an active skill, resistance for that healed element plus 1. So he's very resistant as well in general to all types of things. So overall, I have a very, very high opinion of this particular character. I think that Adis did a good job of making up for the original form. So the original Rimuru that we had about 2 years ago, I think it was, possibly, yeah, about 2 years ago. Well, anyway, whenever we got him, I was not really that impressed with him at all. I thought he was kind of a crappy unit, especially for a collab, because typically collab units are usually like, you know, set standards that are really, really high. And this was the one collab that had a character that was kind of subpar, because the old version of this character was kind of a jack of all trades but master of none. He tried to do physical damage, he tried to do magic. About the thing he was best at, from what I've been told, is being very tanky. I never actually got the character, so I can't say for sure, but my first impression of him wasn't very high. However, with this version, they more than made up for it. I think he's a fantastic character. I think he will do really well dealing a ton of damage to a variety of things while being able to support the party and being able to support himself. I mean, he could really just solo things probably pretty easily. Is there everybody else that could help will just kind of be an added bonus. But yeah, he's just super good. That's really all I can say. He's just super good. So if you do end up pulling him, congratulations. You got a fantastic unit for a collab. So let's talk about the arc. So you get Harvest Festival. Now, the trait says creature type only, so obviously for Rimuru, skill damage plus 25%, seems decent. Add god type to the user, okay. Silence and curse, resistance plus 1, not bad. For each monster type that an ally has, skill damage cap 200, not stackable, monsters are all non-human types. Okay. Well, that's a good way to kind of summarize what a monster is considered. So anything that's just not a human apparently is considered a monster. So if you basically stack a bunch of mimicries, you can get some damage cap. I don't know if it's worth it personally, but you know, it's definitely interesting, I'll say. I think it's an interesting arc trait. Let's take a look at what we can learn. So you can get Pose of Glory, which is good. Magic of 4 is good. Reincarnation, I forgot what this does. Battle Start, if unit is incapacitated, revive to 50% HP once per quest. Okay, so it gives you auto revive. Evolve Blessing, we have revive an incapacitated ally and restore HP. by 30%, then boost HP cap by 10%, and restore HP. That's actually kind of cool. I like this. So you get to basically revive somebody that's dead, restore some HP by a certain percentage, boost the cap, and if let's say you have someone that has like 5k, HP, you're gonna basically give them an additional 500. I'm sorry, yeah, 500. That would be 10%. So, yeah, I mean, that's not bad, and I'm sure those numbers can get higher if you can get people's HP up to 10k, which is very easy nowadays. So, yeah, that actually can add up pretty well. Not bad. Good for any healer, really. Demon Lord Awakened, Strength Intelligence plus 10%, Battlestar Blazer and Lastoma effect on unit. Okay, I don't really know if that's good or not. I'm not too impressed by it personally. And finally, we have Ice Attack Raise 2, which is basically just, something to boost the damage of your ice based units. So if you only have Ice Attack 1 on the character and you want to use 2 instead, there you go. So it's okay, But overall, I think Evolved Blessing is the skill here that I think is the most interesting to learn. I kind of like it. Yeah. So not bad as far as skills are concerned. Let's take a look at the accessory here, the Ether Reward. This is Raphael Cloth. So we have 60 intelligence, 40 MP, and 60 mind. Recovery magic power plus 15%. Recovery magic uses minus 1 MP. No notable attribute or ailment resistances. Since it's an accessory, this is actually okay. This is something I would definitely give to Etheria or any other character similar to that, just a good healer in general. I think it's good, specifically because it's an accessory. Now, if this would have been like a robe or something, I could say you could probably find better robes. But as far as this being an accessory, this actually makes this pretty good. So yeah, I'm actually, I'm actually all right with this. So overall, I think this is a decent arc. I think this is good for a variety of reasons. The arc trait is interesting. I'm not gonna say it's great, but I think it's interesting. The things that you can learn are also interesting, especially if you have a good healer. And then the ether reward's also good for a healer. So overall, not bad, not bad. And of course, we got to talk about those creds, man, them credentials. Let's see what we can pick up if you were to pull them and spend money on it. So we start with the Demon's Rimuru's clothing. It gives you 53 strength, 52 intelligence, 202 defense, 201 mind. So those are actually pretty good stats for clothing. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's just the stats alone. Moving along, we have physical attack damage cap 3000, HP plus 10%, continuous MP regen effect, recovers 2 MP per time, and no attribute or ailment resistances at all. So if you're going to build him to be more tanky, like for PvP or something, I think this would be pretty good. I mean, it's giving you really good defensive stats. You know what I mean? And that's really the only reason you probably want this more for the defensive stats. I mean, the cap raise is good too, don't get me wrong. But I think that the stats overall is really what makes this. The MP regen, I don't know how necessary that is for this character. I guess it just kind of depends on how you're building. I mean, he does automatically use MP for some of his passes, so I guess this is just a way to keep him, keep him stocked up more or less. So yeah, I think this is overall a decent piece of clothing. Let's take a look at the other item we can receive. This is his coat. So this is an accessory, which makes his high value by itself. Strength plus 80, defense plus 47. No attribute attack damage cap 1000, damage plus 10%, continuous brave effect. You also get pretty good amount of resistances here. You get a plus 5 resistance to the basic 4 elements, fire, ice, wind, and thunder, and you get resistance to stun. So that's actually pretty good for a variety of reasons. One, you're just booking up your elemental resistances. You want to resist stun as much as possible. And then, you're getting an auto brave effect out of this. And you're going to be building them for physical DPS, obviously. So that's kind of a pretty good item. Now, as far as which item to use, I'm going to go ahead and say the accessory. I think that accessories are typically the better things to have that can give you more options. As far as the clothing is concerned, I'm a fan of clothing in general. I think this is actually a really good piece of clothing. However, I think that the general population is going to be dual wielding, so there'll be no reason for you to wear the clothing. But even if you're not dual wielding, I still think the accessory is just better to make up for, the stun resistance, and then of course being able to get the auto brave. You're still getting more bonuses to damage. You're just missing out on damage cap. Is really all you're missing on. But you're getting 1,000, which is still better than nothing for an accessory. It's not bad to be honest. So I would still pick the accessory, but I wouldn't blame you for picking the cloth if you're the type that likes a single wield. I respect that kind of play, but I still prefer the accessory. That's just more of a me thing. But overall, as far as the collab is concerned, it's been pretty decent. And I'm happy to say that because, in all honesty, the original Slime collab was the worst collab we ever had. So the fact that they've given us a lot of things to do here with better units is actually a godsend. It's a huge blessing. So, for those of you that have been playing a while, know that this is actually, from what I can tell, will be a decent collab. I'll give my full thoughts on the next episode when we do the next character coming out. That's the one I'm really hoping to really snag. I'm sure that's going to be a lot better. Probably something I want to pull more than this guy, even though this guy is really good. Rimuru really really good. But we'll wait for Milim and see what happens. So until next time, be kind and grind. Later.